As everybody can imagine, it's not easy for me to stand here and speak about my son. He's my boy, my oldest son. He joined the Marine Corps right after high school because he wanted to serve this country, because he believed what he was doing was right. Even though I was against him going, he was a stubborn kid even since he was born. He didn't even come out on his due date. But he had more guts than anybody I know. But he promised me, and the recruiter promised me that if I let him join, and he was going to have a civilian job. So he worked over in Hawaii in an import-export warehouse. Would not step in a foot in Afghanistan because I don't believe we should even be there, for my own personal reasons. This young man volunteered in March 2012 to go over to Afghanistan because one of his friends broke his ankle and they needed somebody to step up and take his spot. And my son told me they made him go. It wasn't until I found out on that day when I had to go to Dover and pick up my 21-year-old boy in a box. His sergeant walked over to me and told me that I should be proud of my son. He didn't have to tell me to be proud of my son. He said he volunteered to go over there, Mr. Buckley. He didn't need to be there, but he volunteered because he wanted to be with his boys, because he believed what he was doing was right, and he wanted to support and be with his brothers. And that's what Marines do. They stick together. And that's what we need to do. The American people come back together and stick together as one. And stop letting everybody tell us what to do.
That's right.
On August 10th, 2012, at about 8:30 at night, my two youngest boys called me, panicking, that there were Marines at the front door, banging the door hard, and they were afraid to open the door. I rushed home. They were down the block from my house. I walked over to the black van, and I asked them, "What do you want?" They said, "We need to talk to you." They said, "Please get in the van." I said, "I'm not getting in your van. You come back to my house." I went back to my house, and they informed me that Lance Corporal Greg Buckley was fatally shot and died. I looked him in his eyes and I said, "If you're lying or if this is a joke, I'm going to kill you as you stand here in my kitchen." All I can hear are my two younger boys screaming at the top of their lungs that they're lying. My brother's still alive. I don't really remember too much, but what I do remember is I collapsed, and the next 2 days were a fog. I promised that kid when he was a baby that I would always protect him and be there for him. I would never let anything happen to him. I did everything I could for this kid. And when he went in April, he called me a month and a half later and told me, "Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm in a bad place. I'm training these Afghan police officers, and the chief of the police is a bad guy. and how hard it was for him to tell me this, he turned around and hesitated and said that I love you and that they're going to kill me here. I go, Greg, out on the battlefields, you'll be okay. He goes, no, you don't understand this. He goes, they're going to murder me inside my facility. These people are bad people, Dad. He goes, you don't understand. They don't understand. You people don't understand how bad it is here. They don't care about us. They don't want us here. They said it to me. But we have to do what we're told to do because we're Marines. But he turned around and he hesitated and he said, but Dad, I'm scared. He goes, I'm not scared about being out there fighting. He goes, I'm scared about being murdered at night while I'm sleeping. He goes, these people sleep underneath me. He goes, they're not normal people and we shouldn't be here. We're serving no purpose. We're being lied to over there. They're telling us one thing and it's a whole other agenda. They have their reasons for us to be there. And as soon as we stand up and say something, they make us disappear. As we'll all find out later on. Turns around, my son sent a goodbye letter home to the house about 2 weeks later. And it broke my heart to read it. Because he turned around and thanked me for everything I've done for him and his mom. And told his 2 younger brothers to grow up to be great young men. And to do the right thing. Just as his brother Greg did. The kid has always did the right thing since the day he was born. Never caused me any trouble. He didn't have to go there. You know what? I own my own company. I own my own trucking company. I work my ass off. I give my son my business. I could have did anything for that boy. But he wanted to do what was right for this country. And now, what is this country doing for my son? It's 15 months later, and they still don't want to give me a report. You want me to tell you why? Because the government was told 15 days before August 10th that Sawarjan, the chief of the police that slept in Greg's barracks, was filthy. He was a bad person. And he was going to do some harm to these young boys that were in his barracks with him. Because the man was involved with prostitution of young boys. They're called T-boys. He was involved with drugs, and he was involved with the Taliban. But we allowed him to be inside that base and in control of all these kids. The Marines have no say over there, even though they tell you they do. You know what? Rules of engagement, they are outrageous. I feel so bad for these young men, and that's one of my purposes here, is to ask to get these young men home and get them out of there.
Amen. Amen.
They don't need to be there anymore. They're not serving any good over there, and the people are going to go back to the way they've always been for hundreds and hundreds of years.
That's right.
So don't let the government fool you. They have their own agenda. They're using these young men as pawns in a chess game. And if you lose a few pawns, who cares if the king and queen are okay? Well, you know what? I do, because that's my boy.
Yeah.
That's my son they took.
Yeah.
And if I'm mad as hell, I have all the right to be.
Yeah.
I am pissed off. I am pissed off that the government would allow this to happen after they were warned 15 days earlier that they could have prevented my son from being murdered. The kid was in a gym on his base at 8:30 at night, lifting weights, laughing with his friends, with a pair of shorts and a tank top on. And the chief of the police gave his T-boy, and we know this for a fact, his T-boy, his AK-47, because I found out that the serial number matched him. Gave it to him and told him to go into the gym and murder as many Marines as you can. So at 8:30 at night, they walked into the back of the gym, walked over to my son and shot my son dead in his chest with an AK-47, a 165-pound Marine boy who's as tough as nails, but there's no way he can fight that. Then shot him again in his neck, and then shot his best friend right behind him who's 19 years old, and then shot another Marine, and then shot another Marine 6 times while he laid on the floor. Outrageous, he survived. The story is so incredible. You know what? I wake up at night since my son's passing. I never slept through a whole night yet because I just keep on thinking about that young boy there. Just thinking about coming home. He was telling his friend Oliver that survived. I can't wait to go home. I'm going to be with my dad. We're going to get together, and it's going to be the first time I'm going to have a legal beer with my dad without using fake ID. He just wanted to come home. He had 2 days left, and he would have been with me. And that's what's heartbreaking. And it's killing me inside that they could have prevented this from happening. But like every other thing they can prevent from happening, if it's not in their agenda, they don't give a shit.
That's right.
And I apologize for cursing, but they don't care. Because their kids aren't over there. And if their kids are in the military, they're probably sitting over in the White House right now, buffing somebody's shoes. You know, it's terrible. What goes on in this country, and I love this country to death, but I don't love what's going on right now. And I fear for this country if we don't make changes.
Yeah. Yeah. God help us.
God help us. So all I'm asking people to do is this young man right here. I just want every parent here to adopt this young man as your own. His name is Lance Corporal Greg Buckley. You just join his Facebook page and just help me and my family and my sister. Because what's going on with our family and the government is wrong. It's so wrong. We just need everybody's support and help. And like I said, if we all come together, we can make a huge change in this world.
That's right.
Bigger than you think. It's my sister Mary Liz, and without her, a lot of things could not happen.
Hello, man.
You have something to say?
I do. I just really want to talk about the power of one. How people have so much power and they don't even realize they had it. Prior to little Greg's death, we were just regular people. He lives in Long Island. I live on the beach. Went about our business. Didn't really know too much about anything. We found out what happened to little Greg on a Friday night. Green on blue attack, they said. I didn't even know what it was, I'm ashamed to say. But we didn't just curl up in a corner and lick our wounds. We were out on his lawn in Oceanside every single day, talking to CNN, Fox News, Channel 2, Channel 7, because we found out these boys weren't allowed to have loaded weapons on their base. The Afghans that they were training had loaded weapons. They all had AK-47s. The boys had to lock their weapons. This is why they were killed in that gym. They didn't have a weapon on them. They weren't permitted because the Afghans found it offensive. And God forbid we offend the Afghans. So did we remain silent? No.
No.
No. We shouted and we screamed and we carried on about how unjust it was and how disgraceful it was. And we spoke to every news media. We made phone calls. We wrote letters right from the very beginning. And I'm very proud to say, the night before we buried Gregory, we were in the funeral home. And the gunnery sergeant that took care of us received a communication from his colonel, who had gotten a communication from Afghanistan. That day, General Allen ordered that all Marines from then on would carry loaded weapons with them at all times. And when they were in the gym, or they were in the bathroom, or they were by themselves, a guardian angel would be with them. So never underestimate the power that you have. We never thought that we could do something like that. We really just were angry. And then we realized you could actually make a difference. You could make a change. So if you're one person, one family, one organization, become one nation, and let's get this done.